Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello, and welcome to episode 243 of the Rotten Views podcast. Hopefully you guys are all having a great weekend, evening, afternoon, whenever it might be when you're listening to this podcast. I'm a little bit under the weather, but that's A-okay. We got another podcast episode coming out. I might be a little bit stuffed up, might have a little bit of rhinos, might have a little bit of a sore throat. Well, that's not going to stop us from doing episode 243. No, it will not, because we have a fun one set up for you guys today. At least I hope it's a fun one. I can't remember if I've ever watched this movie before, so I'm going to be remembering it, hopefully, as I watch it. But we have another movie coming at you guys from the lovely app known as Tubi. We are watching from 1990. We are watching The Suckling. But you guys already know that if you read the title ahead of time. Hopefully you guys have, some of you guys might actually have it like pre-downloaded. So it's just on your playlist and you play all your new podcast episodes. And you listen to it right now. If that's you, I appreciate you so much. But before we do get too far in the podcast, let's do a little bit of housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
So today's housekeeping, just like each and every single week, if you guys could, wherever you listen to the podcast, just leave a review or hit that share button. The share button does help out a lot. If you share on whatever platform you're on, if you're on X or Threads, TikTok, whatever it might be, just share it wherever you can, and that does help out the podcast a lot. If you're listening on Spotify, feel free to give it a star rating. Feel free to give it a 5-star if you think it deserves a 5-star. I'm not going to ask for a 5-star review by any means. If you feel like it deserves a 3 or a 4, that's a-okay by me as well. Just let me know what you think of the podcast. If you think it deserves a 1, that's okay. We eventually will be getting that voodoo kit. Oh, eventually. Just you wait, okay? We'll be getting that voodoo kit. I'm going to be putting a hex on you, but that's a-okay. I probably shouldn't be broadcasting that. It's a joke, obviously. It probably is getting a little bit lame by this point in time, but that's okay. I'll keep making the joke because, well, guess what? It's my podcast, and I can do whatever I want on it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the podcast. If you're listening on Apple or iTunes, whatever it might be, feel free to leave a review there as well. I appreciate it very, very much. And whatever podcast platform you're listening on, if there's any sort of form of rating or reviewing it, please do so if you have the time. Hopefully you guys do. Try to be nice to me. I'm a little bit sensitive. I don't want to feel bad. I'm kidding. I know a lot of people will enjoy the podcast, and that makes me feel great. I'm lost for words for the amount of listeners that actually show up each and every week. So I appreciate it very, very much, and thank you. If you guys are looking for some more new content, though, make sure to follow me on all social media. All links are down below in the description, of course. But it's just @TyphonSci. We're on X, we're on Threads, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. But we've been pushing that YouTube channel pretty hard. Been doing live streams over there as well. Got the weekly game video that drops every single Wednesday. I have various short videos over there as well, and old episodes of the podcast. So there's tons of free content over on the YouTube channel. I haven't been streaming too much on Twitch because for a reason it seems to work better on YouTube. I'm not sure why. It might just be my internet. I'm not really too sure. Some days it will be great on Twitch, and some days it'll just look like crap. I don't know why the quality drops so much so often. So we've been sticking to the YouTube streaming because it actually looks pretty good for the most part. I have the odd bad day here and there, but I'm assuming that's just poor internet connection here and there, which makes no sense because everything's hardwired. But I'm not a techie, so it is what it is. But enough of all that housekeeping stuff. You're here to listen to me talk about a movie. You're here to listen to me talk about The Suckling from 1990. It's a horror sci-fi movie for an hour and 29-minute runtime. It's also known as the Sewage Baby. I kind of like The Suckling better than the Sewage Baby because that just sounds weird as hell. But anyways, you can watch this for free on Plex or Tubi. We always use Tubi, so definitely go check out Tubi. And hey, if you want to sponsor us, Tubi, I appreciate that very, very much. I'm not expecting it, and I know you won't ever do it, but the offers are always out there. This movie features a 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4.4 out of 5 on Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know if that rating really qualifies for anything, but it's fine. Apparently 74% of Google users have liked this movie. Initial release date was September 24th, 1990. The description for this movie, as read from IMDb. A pregnant woman reluctantly goes to a legal abortion clinic, which also doubles as a brothel, only to have her aborted mutated fetus attack her and everyone at the clinic. Sounds like an interesting movie. So yeah, we're just going to jump into the part where we talk about the writer, directors, and the stars. A couple of the stars, not all the stars, of course. But we got a little bit of an easy job on this point because the director and the writer are the same person. And we're talking about Francis Terry, who's also done movies such as, he was the producer for 1996 Head Games. Don't know anything about it. He's the police officer apparently in 1988's Flesh-Eating Mothers. I don't know anything about that movie either, and that's it. Other than this movie that we're talking about today, he hasn't done anything else at all, which is making us just jump right into the casting section then. And with our casting section, the first person we're jumping right into is Lisa Petruno. I might have butchered the last name. I'm pretty good at doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if I did again here, but she's just listed as girl, so I'm not sure if that's the mom or not, because there's also another character later down the list that's just said Big Mama. I don't know, but she's also in 1988's Trauma's War, where she plays Jennifer. She's in 1981's Angel of Passion, where she plays Cheryl Diamond, and she's in a movie that I want to watch now just because it sounds stupid as hell. In 1987, she played Sandy in Galactic Gigolo. I'm not even going to talk about that movie yet because I am searching for a copy of that movie, and we're going to watch it for the podcast, and I'm not kidding because it looks stupid, so I want to do it. The other person on the casting list that we're going to talk about is Tim Martin Krause. He is playing the character of Billy. He's also in 2014's Redemption playing Tony McCabe. In 1998, he was Brad Webb in The Orchard. And this one doesn't have a date for some reason, but there's a movie called Hell Wanted where he's the academic advisor for it. And I've never even seen that listing posted before for like any movie side of things. I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's something I've never actually thought about before. So, other than that, he hasn't really done too much other than those. But don't worry, folks. This movie actually does feature a tagline. We've been getting pretty lucky lately with the movies having a tagline. I know we went on a little stretch there where none of the movies had taglines. I love reading the tagline. I don't know why. It's supposed to make you want to watch the movie more, but some of these taglines are stupid. And this one is, all he wanted was a cuddle. It's based on a baby. And I don't usually talk about the trivia section on IMDb, but this one kind of caught my eye. Apparently the monster suit in this movie cost $10,000 to make, so I'm really excited to see what the monster suit looks like, because I want to look and see what $10,000 in 1990 looked like for a prosthetic suit. And hopefully it looks pretty good. I'm not holding my breath though. This movie also had an estimated budget of $50,000. So $40,000 went into like the casting and locations and all that stuff, and $10,000 went right into a damn alien monster suit. So I'm hoping it's gonna be a good one. But now, with all that stuff being said, I should have gave you a warning earlier, but this is your one and only final warning. If you guys are new to the podcast, I talk about a movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interest me. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1990, feel free to pause it now and go watch it on Tubi and then come back and listen to the podcast, or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about this movie, and I'll either make you really want to watch the movie, or you'll probably just avoid it. I leave that option or decision up to you at the end of this podcast. If you decide to stick around to then, hopefully you guys do. As always though, if you guys are listening at home, hopefully you guys are comfy, have some snacks, whatever it might be. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. And if you're listening in the car, like I know a lot of you guys do, hopefully you guys just keep your eyes on the road and get to wherever you need to go, and a safe and sound speed. Don't run over the old people on the sidewalk. I know they give you the most points in the game, but don't do it. Just get to wherever you're going in one piece, so everyone gets home. And yeah, I'm going to get started on the podcast now. This cold is really messing up my head, so we're going to get started on the movie right now. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and I will talk to you soon.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
meet Mommy and Daddy.
I told you. I won't tell anyone that you're a father.
Everything's ready.
Mommy's little darling is becoming Mommy's little mutant terror. The Suckling.
What is going on?
We're locked in.
Yes, trapped in a bordello, Mommy and Daddy must try and survive their wayward offspring.
What happened to her?
I mean to get out of here alive.
The Suckling.
What the hell is this?
If you're looking for nail-biting action and suspense, see The Suckling. The Suckling.
So the movie just starts out with some text popping up on the screen. Basic black background, white text. On April 1st, 1973, the most bizarre and macabre event in all of Brooklyn's modern history occurred. 12 people, inhabitants of a reputed house of prostitution and an illegal abortion clinic, were killed. Only one occupant survived. When found by police, she told a tale so fantastic and horrific, she was believed to be insane. Authorities immediately placed her in a sane asylum. The most brilliant investigators spent years trying to solve this gruesome mystery, but to this day are still baffled. Could the rantings of a girl supposedly insane be true? The makers of this film believe so. And we just have the intro music starting to pick up, and then the giant Suckling font and giant bold red lettering pops up, and then the intro credits start to play in. And I'm kind of looking forward to this one, because I'm a sucker for bad movies, and I got a feeling this one's going to be on par with my recent findings. And then we see the movie just starting out, and there's this lady just in bed. There's a thunderstorm brewing. It's just storming. It's lightning. There's heavy rain and nasty ass freaking wind. And we see some random shots outside of a light and like a drainage thing and some trees. It's so weird because the tree leaves aren't really moving that much, but the wind is definitely howling. So I mean, they could have like maybe got the the leaf blower out there a little bit better to blow those leaves around. But then we just cut back inside and we see someone in full white shoes, socks, pants, and everything just walking around. And then we see them walking up the stairs, and they got a old shaving utensil in their hand. They got a butterfly switch shaver thingy. I forget the technical terms. I got a headache. Leave me alone. But yeah, they got like one of those old school like hot razors that you would use. Like, I would never let a barber use it on my throat because I feel like they just cut my throat open. But you know, some people back in the old days would definitely allow them to do it. Not this guy. I'd like to live. Now, said person might be a doctor, and said item might have actually turned into a syringe. I'm not really too sure, because now they're putting something into a bottle, but then they put the syringe back into their pocket and start looking at their watch, being like, oh yeah, she's still sleeping for the thunderstorm. Actually, I'm going to pick her up now, though, and take her out of bed, even though she's an adult, and I could probably just wake her up by herself. But there's also a stupid, like, Raggedy Ann doll, like the big-ass one, just sitting on the floor, and a bunch of other stuffed animals. But this person looks like she should be in her, like, mid-30s. I'm assuming she's in an insane asylum, or some kind of mental hospital, or hospital in general, maybe? I'm assuming it's not, like, a basic hospital, because why would you have stuffed animals? But what do I know? It's a 90s B horror movie. Why am I even questioning anything? Anyways, she's getting pushed in a wheelchair that looks really comfy, and she's all confused waking up, and then they get pushed by a room where this nurse is covered in blood, and she looks kind of cute, but she's got her boobs hanging out, and she's covered in blood, and she's kind of just dancing around, and then we see her again, even though they've gone like 4 rooms down, and now she's walking around with an axe in hand. Also, this lady's got like these high heel shoes on, this nurse, and they're really annoying. And then she speaks, and then it gets even worse because her voice is really annoying. But she's got her tatas hanging out, so I guess you gotta take the good with the bad in that segment. She's also still carrying an axe around that's covered in blood. And then the lady's like got a face mask on, and she's got like guys going to her. But she's like waking up, and she can tell that her hands are like handcuffed to the bed, but they look like they're in bondage handcuffs, or like just tied with a rope off of a robe. And then the doctor starts to cut her stomach open, and she starts to freak out. But it's okay, because guess what? It was just a dream, and she just wakes up, and the storm's still brewing. But finally, the thunder finally woke her up, and she's just like, oh, wow, that was a weird dream. I'm really sweaty now. Better just go into the bathroom. And it looks really weird in the bathroom. I don't know, it's just the way that the shot is lined up. But her medicine cabinet looks like it's like 3 wide. Anyway, she slides the glass window open on the medicine cabinet to get some pills. And of course, when she slides it back, there's another doctor standing behind her, and he takes that razor and just cuts her throat open. Just like I was saying at the beginning of the movie, I wouldn't trust a hairdresser with it or a barber, because I would assume they would do the same thing. And then she wakes up again, and she's in the hospital. Then as she's hooked up to the machines, we see 2 doctors talking. And one doctor's like, I thought he was sitting down, but apparently he's just really fucking short. Like, he's not even at the guy's shoulders almost. Anyways, he's like, so how long will the lady be asleep until she has another nightmare? Probably just a couple of hours. Huh, how does a young lady so young have nightmares so bad? That's pretty much the scripting in this movie. Like, this is setting up a flashback, because apparently the reason she's there is because of all this horrible stuff that happened. And then with this flashback to the girl, and she's with this guy, and he's like, hey, maybe you'll change your mind. Come on, let's just go over to this house over here. The whole time they're walking towards this house, it's kind of like a cheap ripoff of the Halloween music is playing in the background, the piano and everything, just kind of set the mood a little bit. We see them walking up to like the front porch of this building, or it might be the back by the looks of the fucking trees and shrubbery everywhere. And the girl's like, I promise I'll tell nobody that you're the father. Come on, do we have to do this? Because, you know, it's the abortion brothel clinic. You know, the 2-in-1. Save a little bit of space, I guess. So he wants to have an abortion. She doesn't want to have an abortion. And they're arguing about it a little bit. And she has every right to do whatever the fuck she wants, because it's her body. And, you know, it's shame on you guys for not using condoms. So if they're broke, they're broke. But anyways, he uses the stupid pun of, would you just beat it to death already? Can we just go inside? Like, well, go ring the doorbell then. If you so want to do it so badly, this place is illegal. So they ring the doorbell, and then this gentleman comes out. He's like, let's go around back. And then as they're walking around back, this guy in a suit starts to walk up, and the guy that answered the door is like, go on in, sir. The lady's waiting in room 3 for you already, because, that's a brothel side apparently. So this guy takes him into this room with this really annoying ceiling fan that sounds like a VHS just skipping or something. And one guy in the waiting room was like, "Hey, where do you find these two? What are they doing here?" And I guess it's like a waiting room area by the looks of it, because there's also another lady that's just randomly sitting on a chair. Then we see the guy that just had the suit on that was getting ready to go to see the lady in room 3. He opens up a briefcase that's full of various adult toys that I'm not going to discuss on this podcast because I feel like that's going to get me flagged. But the other thing that I want to mention at this point in time, he is shirtless by the looks of it, and he's wearing one of those stupid dunce hats, like that has a helicopter propeller on the top of it for some reason. I'm not sure what this guy's into at all, but I got nothing else to say about that, really, to be honest with you. But the lady in room 3, she's dressed all in black, and she grabs a very big whip. And it sounds very, very painful, to the point where she's whipping it, and then the dude's propeller hat just starts going off on its own. I guess that's to say that he's happy about what's going to happen here. And then he's holding an adult toy in his hand, and she uses the whip and just steals it from him. So I don't know if she's going to use said item on him. And this is where I'm just going to start to shut up now because, I don't know why I picked this movie now. I might be really making some regrets at this point in time. Hopefully we don't spend too much in this brothel. But then this secretary lady comes in and be like, "Hey, Mary, there's a couple over here waiting to talk to you at the abortion clinic side of things." And the guy's like, what about me? We're not doing it. As the lady's leaving, she tells another lady, be like, "Hey, can you just take care of him to finish him off?" And she's like, yeah, sure, I will. She grabs a paddle. But pretty sure there's 4 nails sticking outside that paddle as well. And he looks very terrified. And I look very terrified for him. Then we see the secretary lady come to the waiting room area, and she's like, "Come on, girl, let's go." So the girl and the boyfriend get up, and the girl just looks at the boyfriend and be like, "Are you pregnant? If you're not pregnant, you're not coming in this room either." He's like, "All right, you'll be okay. Everything will be fine." And also the secretary lady looks like Beetlejuice, full on black and white suit, everything just looks like a Beetlejuice ripoff. Oh, sorry. Apparently the secretary lady isn't the secretary lady, because apparently she says she owns a house and she owns lots of money, because she's talking to the girl in the operating room. She's like, "I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to keep it. And, he's stick with me so long now. Like, he'll probably still stick with me once I give birth. Right? Right?" I'm assuming this lady's Big Mama, because Big Mama then gives the girl a drink, and she's like, "I'm not thirsty." She's like, "Yeah, well, you can't really say no to hospitality." And so she drinks the drink, and then she's like, "You know what? I'm feeling really dizzy and sleepy right now." She's like, "Well, maybe you should just lie down. Just lie down and relax." And then the lady literally trips over and smashes her head into the wall and then falls asleep. Then we just see Big Mama. She's operating on the girl. She's like, "Wow, this is the biggest, termination pregnancy I've ever seen." And the lady's like, "Well, what?" He's like, "Just get rid of it, like I told you. Make sure you do it properly this time." And then we just see this lady that's putting the unborn baby in the toilet and flushing it. Oh, I really make some stupid decisions when picking movies, huh? Oh well, we're here. We made it this far. Anyways, we see the baby mutant thing getting flushed down the toilet, and it goes down into the sewer system. I'm gonna say, it looks pretty cool and everything, but the concept of the movie's getting a little weird. But then we see, like, from the point of view of like a monster coming up from underneath the ground, we see toxic waste above it and no trespassing, and then we see all this slime dripping down into the sewer system, and then we see this weird mutated baby monster just crying as slime's dripping all over it. So then they have the girl just resting. She's still asleep from the operation, and they just have her on a couch and her head's like on an armrest. It's like by the time she does wake up, her neck is going to be so damn sore because of the way she's laying. But it's okay, because the one guy's like, "Hey, she ain't up yet?" "No, eh? Alright. Well, when she wakes up, you guys get the hell out of here, okay?" It's like, okay, nice hospitality, I guess. I am making fun of this movie so goddamn much, but now we see the baby down in the sewer, and it's growing at a extraordinarily fast speed somehow, and then like its little baby hand goes away and a big claw just pokes out of it, and he's like shedding at the same time because now his head has grown like 3 sizes bigger, but only his one eye has grown because the other eye is still small and mutated. Well, the other eye, the big eye is mutated too, but like the whole thing is mutated. And then the girl finally wakes up being like, oh, what happened, guys? It's like, don't you remember? You had to drink and like, now you're not pregnant. And then the girl starts having a mental breakdown because she didn't want to give up the baby. Of course, she wanted to, have it until full term. And the guy's just like, we'll go outside. We'll just explain it. We'll discuss it. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. And the lady that's also comforting the girl is like, maybe you should leave the room a little bit till she relaxes probably. And then as he's leaving that room, the security guy is talking to a businessman that came to the brothel. And apparently he's having an argument with one of the brothel ladies. So the security guy sends the brothel lady back upstairs, and then 2 seconds later she comes down with a gun and shoots the guy in the chest. And then the security guard looks over and sees that the girl and the boyfriend are still there and be like, you gotta get him out of here. And then he looks over at the brothel lady. He's like, you can't be arguing with customers. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. And then Big Mama comes over. He's like, is that guy dead? And one of the other guys, might be Axel's, like, oh, well, he ain't napping. Alright, well, we gotta lock this house up and get this cleaned up properly so nobody else knows about it. You understand me? Then we see a couple of the girls in the brothel talking, and Candy's asking Bertha apparently what happened. And they're like, Tammy shot this guy. And it's like, that's just great. Guy came over here for a little whoop-whoop fun, and now he gets his whoop-whoop shot off. I didn't want to use the wrong words, so I'm treading lightly on thin ice. Then we cut back into the sewer where we see that little monster baby thing growing up real fast. And then let's have this like T-Rex velociraptor scream that apparently nobody else hears, but it's like echoing up. And then out of nowhere, Candy's like, what's that sound? It sounds like it's coming out of the toilet. So then they hear it again coming from the toilet. So Candy's like, hey, Bertha, why don't you just go flush the toilet again and see if that helps things out. The toilet seat lids down, but Bertha's like, hey, Miss Candy, you want to come over here? The sound's coming from the toilet. So Candy's like, just flush it, it'll be fine. So they go to flush the toilet again, and then the toilet seat starts to shake more, and you can hear like the bubbling sound underneath it, and then it just stops, and like, probably nothing. And then next thing, we see something shoot out of the toilet, and it looks like it's the umbilical cord, and it wraps around Bertha's throat, and then next thing you know, we see she's decapitated, and her head is getting pulled down the toilet bowl. So then Candy goes to scream to Big Mama and Axel and the other security guard that's there, bouncer guy. And Axel's like, keep your head on, bitch. She's like, well, you gotta go look in the washroom. She's got no head. Bertha's dead. So then they send Axel to go look. And then the security guard's all pissed off because the girl and Bill are still there, or the boyfriend, whatever it might be. And it's like, well, we can't get out the back door. Something weird going on around here. Axel finally makes it to the washroom. We see some blood splatter all over the walls a little bit. And then he's like, shit. But apparently Bertha's body's not there, because then he leans down to the toilet. And it's like he puts his finger on the bowl or in the bowl. And he's like smelling. He's like, shit. It's like, are you smelling actual feces or blood? I don't know what's going on here. Then Axel goes back to report to Big Mama. She's like, yeah, Bertha's dead. And this bitch was whack over here. Candy probably did it. She probably ripped her head right off. I don't know how she would did it because she looks like she's 60, but she probably did it. So we see everyone at the door, and the boyfriend and girl are just like, we just want to leave. We don't want anything to do with this. Can we just get out? And the door's locked or something. We can't get out. So Axel's like, bullshit. So he goes to like pound on the door, starts kicking at it, and it's the weirdest sound ever because they just added the sound in later, and it won't come open. So then he grabs a big coat rack and smashes out one of the windows in the house, and it's just covered by something. And we can see that there's this mutated object forming over the house now, and everyone's like, we're trapped inside here now. But we found out that the main guy, the bodyguard, bouncer guy, is named Sherman. Good to know his name finally. But he goes up to Candy and be like, hey, so what attacked her? Where did it come from? She's like, came from the toilet. It's like, well, where did it go from after that? She's like, do you really think I actually sat around to see where it went? No, I was scared. I just saw her head get ripped off by some kind of monster creature thing that came out of the toilet. No, I didn't really stick around to see where it was going to go next because I didn't want to die. And then we just cut to everyone's like facial expressions as like, they're like, we're trapped inside. Oh no, how are we going to get outside? So then Sherman picks up the phone, and we find out the phone is dead. And then this slow dum 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 like drama style music just starts to play, being like, oh no, we're definitely trapped in here. The alien somehow cut off the phone line too. And this random business guy Might be the guy from the beginning, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Comes up, and he's doing up the zipper of his pants. Like, can you help me get out? I can't get the door open, actually. And then Candy goes over to him and be like, you just got your dream. You're locked in a whorehouse now for the rest of your life. And from upstairs, we hear one of the girls in the brothel screaming because the baby mutated monster is now coming after her, and she's standing on top of a bed. But we see this little, like, claw coming at her, and then she goes to get off the bed, but now she's getting dragged underneath the bed, even though one of the monster's claws is going through the mattress. I'm not really sure how this motion's working, but she's apparently being ate alive by the looks of it, maybe. And of course, it takes Sherman and Axel like 15 minutes just to get up the stairs to the room. And of course, the door is locked and they can't get in. But now we see that she's like, I don't know if she's on the mattress now, or once they open the door, actually, she's apparently dead up against the wall, which didn't look like it. And then they just see these tentacle claws going down the sink system. And Axel starts getting pissed off at Sherman because Sherman kicks everyone out of the room. He's like, this room is closed off. We're not going back in this room at all. And Axel's like, no, we're going to kill this stupid thing. I'm not scared. I'm not running away from the damn thing. And Sherman's like, yeah, I know we're going to kill the thing. But we can't be doing a hot-headed because we're just going to end up dying. We need to take, a cool, think it through. Don't overreact. And then out of nowhere, Axel pulls out a butterfly knife. So then Sherman has to kick him in the chest and make him fall through another room. And I guess Sherman kicked the guy so hard that he's now dragging Axel to a room to put him on the bed, being like, alright, night, rest up by the bed. Yeah, we have everyone that's left now in this little living room area. Be like, so we gotta find tools. We gotta find like a sledgehammer. If we find a sledgehammer, we can break down that wall and get out. And then Sherman's like, we gotta just stay together. We can't be splitting up because that's how we die. And then the businessman's like, I can't stay in here. I got a brand new BMW outside. If it stays outside for too long, I don't know what it's gonna look like in this neighborhood. This neighborhood's not good. So then Sherman's sitting down with them. He's like, so, me and you, buddy, we're going to stop this thing from killing anyone else. Because they got the business guy, like, using a screwdriver and a hammer on the front door to try and chisel it away. Because, there's a whole fight between him and Sherman. But anyways, now they're going around trying to clog up the pipes, the drains, and the sinks to try and stop the monster. And then when they're doing that, they're like, hey, listen, it's moving around the pipes somewhere. I don't know where it is, though, but it's somewhere up in the pipes. And then out of nowhere, the sound of it moving through the pipe stops. So the boyfriend guy's like, it stopped. I wonder what that means. And then out of nowhere, the cabinet below the sink opens up and we have this cord going around the boyfriend's leg. And he's trying to fight it off. And then Sherman grabs like a butter knife by the looks of it and tries to start sawing at it. They get that piece of the umbilical cord cut off, and then it's just squirming on the floor, and then we just hear the creature screaming in pain in the sink system and the piping going up through the walls. So they see the business guy's not really doing too good of a job. So then the boyfriend and Sherman go talk to Big Mom. He's like, the business guy's not making too much progress. You gotta have some weights around here, right? And Big Mom's like, I'm pretty sure Axel has some in the basement. He's like, well, why don't we make a battering ram? We'll take off some of the floorboards and run a rope through, and then we'll make a battering ram to hit the door. It's like, alright, might as well. Can't hurt to try, I guess. Anyways, they get this chest set up with the ropes and everything and the weight inside the chest. And Sherman's already looking at it, being like, alright, guy, looks like your idea is actually going to work out and we're going to get out of this place. And then he looks up and we just see Axel standing at the top of the stair with a gun in his hand. And Sherman's like, alright, this isn't going to work out. And then Big Mama sees that Axel has the gun. So Big Mama's like, Axel, put that gun away now. And Axel's like, no. Sherman wants to fuck around. He's going to fuck around because I'm going to point the gun right at his head. So then instead he shoots up at the ceiling. I'm assuming he shot one of the ropes for the battering ram because that whole battering ram system just fell over like nothing. He's like, see, told you it wasn't going to work. So then a fight breaks out and we have Sherman fighting Axel. He's ramming his head up against like a couch and then rams his hand into the side wood part of a chair so the gun goes free. And then he hits him in the head with something. And the next thing you know, we see Sherman standing with the gun pointing at Alex, telling him to get the hell off the ground. Sherman's like, you're going to kill us all. With you around, we're all going to die. It'd be much easier with you not around at all. I thought I was being nice by just knocking you out and letting you sleep it off. But no. And then the monster is bigger now, and it literally breaks through the living room wall and starts grabbing Sherman and starting to drag him through the wall and crushing up his body as he's going. And then we just hear the monster taking off through the wall somehow. But he's the size of a human being now, like 6'3", and he's got a big ass dome, big ass head, but somehow he's making his way through the inside of the walls. So now Axel's giving everyone a speech, being like, you should have killed the thing when I told you when it was smaller. But no, you guys just had to give it enough time to get bigger. It's the biggest human. You know what? We're going to kill it now before it gets any bigger, before the thing eats us whole. So Axel's still walking around with the gun, and Candy makes a remark being like, oh, I'm so scared of you. And she gets up and just walks away from Axel, and he literally just shoots her in the back of the head, because he's tired of her bullshit. So then we see Axel taking the group with them down to the basement, because they're going to head to the boiler room, because they think that's the best spot to look for the monster to try and kill it, of course. So then as they're walking through the basement area, getting to the boiler room, the boyfriend there notices, hey guys, we gotta wait up. Look, there's some kind of weird tissue on the floor here, kind of like it's shedding. Axel goes to sniff it, and because that's what Axel does, and he goes to mention something, but the boyfriend's like, nah, I don't think so. And Axel's like, I don't want to hear what you have to think at all right? So then they hear some sounds, and Axel just literally turns around and just starts shooting at bottles on the shelves all over the place, and the camera is so goddamn close to his face at the whole point this time happening. I don't understand why. All you see is his face, and that's it. And then they go and work their way through the basement a little bit more, and then the giant creature just comes up and starts attacking them. And of course, Axel keeps shooting his gun some more, but the bullets are going all over the place. I will say the creature though does look pretty cool. I'm glad we see the full suit now, and I understand kind of roughly why it cost $10,000. But Axel goes to chase after the monster, while the boyfriend and the business guy run the opposite direction, be like, know what, we're out here. Don't need to deal with it. And of course, Axel's a horrible shot, so all these shots he's taking, they're hitting pipes and steam's going all over the place. The monster knocks him over to the ground, so his face gets kind of burned on one of the pipes. And they make their way back upstairs. He's like, what? Gotta find some more bullets, because they'll go back down there to kill that damn monster. So then the business guy's like, what? I'm not going back in the basement. You can't make me. So then Axel starts beating him up, being like, you're messing up my train of thought, man. You're gonna go wherever I tell you to go. Next thing we see is the businessman has duct tape on his mouth, and he's got one of those things that dog catchers use, like the big pole with the string on it that goes around the dog's neck, so they can control it and make it go where they want it to go. Well, that's on the businessman's neck now, and I'm not sure why they have one inside the brothel, but we won't ask questions. It's a brothel. They can do whatever they want. Anyways, we see the three of them being down in the basement again, and Axel's pretty much just leading the business guy wherever he wants him. So that way, if the monster comes out, there's a little bit of leeway and movement between them, because he's going to have to kill the business guy first unless he comes up behind Axel. Then in the basement, we hear the monster making a sound, and Axel runs right towards the sound. The business guy runs the opposite way to the exit, and then the boyfriend just stands there watching both of them run in opposite direction. Well, we get to Axel where he's looking at the monster, and the monster is playing with a generator or electrical box of some sort. So Axel shoots at him a couple times, but it doesn't do anything. So then Axel picks up a pipe to go stab the monster, but the monster moves out of the way, so that Axel just stabs the junction box and starts electrocuting himself, because he just got deked out by the monster. And then we look upstairs and we see the girl is having a bad dream on the couch, and she's just having a complete flashback of everything that's happened in the movie so far up until then, and then she just wakes up scared, being like, damn, what's going on here? So then the businessman and Bill decide to go back to the battering ram idea that they had. So they do it, and then the businessman starts laughing because they use the battering ram and hits the door. And he's like, it didn't do jack shit. And then we see Big Mama, one of the other ladies, and the businessman. They're in the kitchen area, and they're like, oh, something's coming. It's coming through that pantry looking door over there. Better start shooting at it. And they shoot, or the lady shoots at the door, and one of the other brothel ladies comes stumbling out and just falls dead on the floor, and be like, oh, it was Vanessa. She wasn't actually dead. Well, she's dead now, though. So then we see Bill and his girlfriend, the girl, still using the battering ram on the door, and they finally make some progress. We finally see the door gets broken, and Bill's looking outside being like, what is this stuff? And there's slime all over the place, and then the business guy runs over being like, this is our way out. Come on, let's keep picking away at the door so we can get out of here. So then looking outside the hole, we have them arguing because Bill thinks his girlfriend should go first because the hole's tight to get through. And the businessman's like, no, I'm not letting her go first. I'm going to be the one to go first because if she goes first, she's just going to leave me to die here with you people. So then he's making his way through this like weird tunnel system. It's kind of looks like maybe it's a womb of some sort. I don't know. But anyway, his jacket gets stuck on something. And the next thing you know, we see the monster pop up and we just hear him screaming. And we cut to everyone else as they all look in shock because all they hear is the businessman screaming in pain as the monster eats him. And for some reason, we see some weird severed hand that looks like Thing from the Addams Family trying to walk over to a briefcase and grab it and then just stopping and dying. And I'm not sure what that's all about. And the picture just takes a complete drop. It looks grainy and stupid. And then we cut and see one of the ladies has a gun to her head. And it's not Vanessa because she's already dead. Bertha? Maybe? No, Bertha died earlier. It's one of the other ladies. I forget. Anyways, she just blows her head off in the living room because she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. We just see Bill, the girl, his girlfriend, of course, and Big Mama sitting in the living room together. And Big Mama just gets up. She's like, I gotta go be with Axel before I die because he's the only kid I ever raised. He's not really my kid, but I raised him. So I'm gonna go down in the basement where he's dead to go see him. Anyways, that Big Mama who's trying to get into the doorway that leads to where Axel is, I guess. And then she can't open that door because it just won't open at all. So then as she's pulling on the door to try and get through it, we see the creature pop out of a washing machine. And he's gigantic now. I'm not sure how he's even fitting out of the washing machine. But it is what it is. And he's just staring at her. And she's just staring at him being like, oh, yep, I guess I'm going to die now. Then we see some horrible acting from Big Mama because she's now pinned in a corner. And her head's just shaking all over the place as she's screaming as the monster gets closer. And then Bill's like, yep, she's dead for sure. She's definitely dead. So we then hear the monster going towards where Bill and his girlfriend is in the living room. And he's like, I'll let the monster grab me. That way I'll not be able to miss it when I shoot at it. Because then I'll be right with it. And then we see the monster pop out of the floorboards. And it's getting closer and closer to Bill. But he's not shooting yet. But the sound gets so loud. And there's so many weird sounds happening that I don't know if the gunshot even would be hearable. Because of how loud the damn movie gets at this point in time. But then we just see the monster impale Bill in the stomach and pin him up against the wall. And then just toss his body off to the side like he's no big deal. And then the monster gets closer and closer to Bill's girlfriend. The mom, of course. And the music starts to change and the eyes start to change. And it just runs over to her. And then it turns into baby form and goes right back up inside of her. Yep, that just happened. We have her shaking on the floor as the monster's making himself comfy back inside of her womb. And the next thing we know, we see these people in suits cutting away the fabric at the front door and making their way inside the brothel. So it's two officers making their way through the house, and they see the girl laying up against the floor and the wall, and they go over to her. It's like, you okay, miss? And she doesn't say anything. He's like, it's okay, don't worry, miss, you'll be okay. And then we cut back to the mental asylum, and then we just see the girl inside the mental hospital. She's got her straitjacket on. She's, sitting in the corner of the room, just staring off. And we can definitely see there's nobody home right now at this point in time. We see a bunch of other people walking around the room, and she's just sitting there as we pan out farther and farther away from her. So then we see two, I guess, nurses come in. They're in blue scrubs. And they take her away into another part of the hospital because they're getting ready to do things with her. Because, she won't say no because nobody's home. This movie gets worse and worse as we go. I'm glad there's only like 3 minutes left at this point in time. But, of course, while this guy's being a creep and getting his freak on, the monster shoots its umbilical cord out of her body and starts choking the guy out. And then out of nowhere, we just see a giant claw shoot through his stomach. And the other nurse guy just starts screaming. And then we see blood splatter all over this door that the other patients are looking in and laughing. And that's the end of the movie. And the outro credits start to roll. And I gotta say, on this one, this was a very hard watch for me. I didn't find this one entertaining. On the Rotten scale, out of 10, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. And I'm only giving it a 3 because I enjoy seeing the suit near the end of the movie, halfway through the movie. I love seeing the transformation and seeing the actual effect of it and whatnot. But other than that, this movie sucked, and I'm never going to watch it ever again. And then for some reason, at the outro credits are rolling, we see this guy in this weird-ass suit looking like Pee Wee Herman with his kid watching this other person melt to death. And it makes no sense, and I don't know why it's even there. But it happened, and now it's gone, and the movie's over. And it makes no goddamn sense at all, and I will never revisit this movie again. I might draw the monster, but that's about it. Alright, so we're at that point in time where we get to pick what we're going to be watching next week. And I discussed this movie a little bit already. We're going to be watching a movie from 1987. It's got two titles. The title that I saw was Galactic Gigolo. But when looking it up, it's actually on Tubi under Mr. Galactic. It's got the same description and everything else, and it actually pops up as the same movie. So we're going to be watching that movie from 1987. It's an hour and 20 minutes, so it's going to be a fast watch. I'm not expecting much, but I'm expecting it's probably going to be better than the movie we just watched. Not going to lie, didn't really enjoy it. I made fun of it, and I tried my best. Well, hopefully this next one is a little bit better. If not, then I think I might go to movies I actually have seen for a little bit, just so I know I have some fun experiences. But that's the whole point of doing this podcast, watching movies we haven't ever seen before, and seeing how they actually are and hold up or whatnot. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure to check out the outro band, trail-based horror band, Blood Opera. All their links are down below. Find them on Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, anywhere and everywhere pretty much. And as always, you can find me at all social media accounts down below. They're listed in the description, but it's at Typhonstein on pretty much every site that you can look at. We're on X, we're on Threads, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. But that main thing you should check out is the YouTube channel. Definitely go check it out. Go subscribe, hit the like button, all that fun stuff. Turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified every time we post a new video or go live, because I do go live on YouTube. I also have various short videos over there as well, old episodes of the podcast, and I do a weekly game video every single Wednesday, so definitely go check that out. And as for me, I ain't going to call it a night, because this one was an interesting movie to say the least.
So hopefully I'll talk to you guys all later. Take it easy and have a great night, evening, day, afternoon, morning, whatever it might be. I'm just rambling now, so I'm going to cut the podcast now. Peace! Talk to you guys all later.